Welcome to Abundance. You guessed it, a podcast dedicated to all things surrounding dance. I am Kristen.
And I am Hannah, and we are two best friends who are brought together by this art form.
Please join us in 5, 6, 7, 8.
Hello. Today we have our fourth interview, and we're very excited to bring a special guest, and Kristen will tell you all a little bit more about her.
Hi, everyone. Today we have Debra Marchese with us. She is someone special to me in my life. I met her years back. I think I was a middle schooler at the time when we first met, and then I worked very closely with her throughout high school, and she's continued to be a good family friend of mine. So Debra is the person I worked with the adaptive dance program that I think I've referred to a few episodes in the past. So yeah, would you like to give us a little bit more about yourself? Give our audience a little introduction.
Thank you. I can't believe you were such a little middle schooler back then. You were always mature. And I contribute that to ballet, of course, because of your training and what is entailed in being a dancer. And thank you for the beautiful introduction. I am a dancer. I did study dance, not on the level that you did. I wasn't able to do that in the small town that I live with here in Connecticut. So it was my first love. I love dance of all types, ballet to just anything that makes my body move and I feel good. I have the privilege of being an older mom of an autistic son. I had twins. And I developed programs for children with special needs. And I decided that little girls needed to be in tutus, no matter what their disability was, or just as simple as that. And I needed a job. So I broke out my leotards that I saved forever in my drawer and put them on and started with a couple children. And it turned out not only did we get little girls, we got little boys, and now they're big boys. So it just seemed to work. And my son, he's 28 now. He's a classic autistic person. So he gave me the gift of being so difficult that I can probably handle just about any disability that I run across now. He's nonverbal, and I was lucky enough to move to a town that were open to it, and it just fell into place. That's all I can say. Thanks to the town, the mothers, the kids, and everyone, and of course the mentors and people like Kristen, they have the passion for dancing.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Yeah, that's so interesting and quite beautiful that you were able to make that come to life in your small town. Kristen talks so highly about it, and so it's so nice to hear you speak even more thoroughly about it. So thank you.
We have to be passionate about what you do, and I know that comes from dance. I mean, I wanted to dance. I wound up going to at high school. I wound up after high school going to a children's hospital in Boston to be an X-ray technician. So I knew I probably couldn't make a living as a dancer. I wasn't trained classically the way I should have in the town where I grew up. So I decided I needed some type of career, which just added to what I do now, because I had to learn the human body. I've seen all kinds of things working in large-scale hospitals in Boston and with professionals in that field. But I did slip off my X-ray career and joined a disco band in the 70s. So I got some dancing in. I was a backup dancer. So I did use some of my classical training for that.
I do remember you telling stories about that particular time in your career, and I'm curious if you could share with us how you initially got involved in the arts and in dance, because I know that you do have that diverse background and you have really kind of dipped your toes into some different areas. So what really was the catalyst for that?
Like I said in past interviews, I always loved dancing. I'm a little skinny thing. Everyone thinks just because you're a little skinny thing, you are a dancer. In this case, it's true. But I just loved dancing as soon as I heard music. I mean, as soon as I could just stare at the television, which was black and white back in the day, I was hooked. And my uncle, who well, he worked at a prison close by, and he brought home stacks of records that were donated, and they were big band, and there was burlesque, and there was classical. And my cousin and I just put on an old slip and just crank up the music and just dance to the grass like my whole childhood. And anytime there was a dancer on television, my mother would say, Rudolph Nureyev's on television, or look at this, the Rockettes are on television, and just love movement. It's so cleansing and spiritual to me. And just, oh my God, it's, as I said before, it's hard for me to go into a store that has music. I went into Trader Joe's recently, and they had some old school funk on, and I held on to that grocery cart so I wouldn't move, because I would just let it rip, seriously. And I noticed a man, a cashier, a young guy at the register doing the same thing. I go, you're having a hard time keeping still. He goes, yeah, I can't take it here when they play those songs. And it's just in your body. That's it. That's it. Even in X-ray school, I used to, hold the cassettes or dance down the hospital hallways, and I just can't keep still. That's it. Just pure movement just makes you feel good. That's it.
Yeah, I can attest for that. I believe you're a very just natural, innate mover. It's very accurate to who you are.
And just music in general, you hear it, or
That's very inspiring.
When you even see a porch railing, you want to put your leg on it and take a little stretch, don't you now?
Yes, for sure.
It's hard.
Wonderful. So I believe that the adaptive dance program that we've both worked with is very unique and was also a little bit ahead of the time. I think more and more ballet companies and dance schools are now starting to formulate their own adaptive dance programs, but I feel like this one kind of started before it became a bigger trend, I suppose you could say. So
absolutely. And it had to do with me needing a job, because I did get divorced, unfortunately, but you just make something beautiful out of it. So I just pitched the idea, and it just fell into place. And it's really everyone, you could do this with anyone in the population. I mean, I would just love to repeat this with just different populations, with older women or men, or just everyone needs to dance. Not so much technical ballet, because let's face it, you ladies and gentlemen are athletes. You're like even if I watch sports, I know that you are like even better than them. You are disciplined, and you are pure athletes. The only difference is that you set it to music. It's incredible. It's incredible. So yeah, we were ahead of our time. And I think my son gave me that opportunity, and working in some professional atmosphere, and knowing different types of people from working, in the restaurant, then business and nightclubs and performing, that I had a little bit of people skills, and hospital skills, and dance skills, and then special needs skills. And just people want to dance no matter what their disability is, even if they're in wheelchairs. We've had children in wheelchairs, and it helps. Not only does it help the child or the young adult, now they're all adults, a lot of them are adults, it helps the families. And Kristen, I mean, we have grown men in the audience crying their eyes out. I don't know why. I guess they feel bad for us. We don't feel bad for us. We're having a blast. But maybe they didn't know that they were capable, or maybe they just saw the joy in the grandparents being able to see their their grandchildren dance. One mother with a child that's she's older now said it was the best thing she ever dreamed of because her daughter can't move a muscle. And she had a tutu on, and she looked beautiful. And we wheeled her across the stage, and the mother said that was my dream come true. So how can you not do it? I mean, why wouldn't you do it? And every single one of these dancers, these special dancers, are different. So when you go in to teach a class to, let's say, your 8-year-olds or your 9-year-olds, or even your baby classes, your pre-ballet, even when you go into toe, you know that you are looking for the same thing, the same quality, the same skills before you can even progress on toe. That's not what we're dealing with here. We're dealing with nonverbal, low muscle tone, sensory issues, different labels of disabilities. It could be autistic, which is totally all over the spectrum, or Down syndrome. When I started working with Down syndrome after having an autistic child, I said, there's nothing wrong with someone with Down syndrome. They're the most capable, loving people. Now, they don't have none of these, not all of them, but a lot of the dancers don't have the bodies that are, you know, the long legs and thin and gorgeous and whatever to be a ballerina. But you adapt it, and they don't really care, and no one really cares what they look like, and they can express themselves. So why not do it? I think people were, they do have programs, like you said, we were ahead of them. I think they came from a perspective like, we'll do it for, you know, 10 to 12-year-old autistic people. But what they're really getting are all different types of people.
Right. It's still a myriad. Yeah.
It's not, if one autistic person is one autistic person, or one Down syndrome is one Down syndrome, or behavioral, or someone with seizures, or someone, you got to know all about this when you're teaching the class. And that's where the adaptive comes in. So I'll take someone that knows how to, believe it or not, do a cartwheel, and that's part of their routine, or someone that can't do a cartwheel. The whole class doesn't have to do a cartwheel. And we do have mentors like yourself that they guide when they need it, and they wean off of them eventually. And they always perform beautifully in front of up to 900 people. They have never, ever failed. That's the word. We've never failed. And the community helps too. The community, our miracle moms help, people that come and dress them. And a lot of people, well, I'll speak for autistic, they don't like scratchy things, or they don't want things on them. But when they're backstage and then they know they get to go out and do it again, we are taking those costumes off and we are putting them back on, and we are pushing them back out, and they nail it. And rehearsals and classes, they're stressful. There's crying sometimes, and that's by the parents, because no, we can't do that, or he needs a helper, but I have to look at each individual as each individual and somehow bring them together as one. So it would be like, Kristen, because I know your whole family, it would be like getting all your aunts and your sister and her boyfriend or whatever, and your father, and say, okay, this family's going to put on the Nutcracker.
Oh boy.
I just made that up, but
You don't want to buy tickets to that one.
But so-and-so is not going to fit in a tutu, or, you know, so how are you going to adapt that? Or she can't do that, so how are we going to make that fit to the music? And I know one girl, she's probably bigger than me. I haven't seen her because of the virus. Wow, she can like really boogie and dance. But there's one piece of music in the Nutcracker. She's autistic, and some autistic people that have autism love to spin. So part of the music, you know who I'm talking about.
Yes.
I just put her on stage like a doll, and then I act like I'm winding her up, and I just let her, she can spin for 2 minutes. And people go, wow, teacher must be great. She taught her that. No, I did not teach her that. That is a skill that she knows how to do. And she loves doing it. And she does it every year. And she ends right on cue and takes her bow. And it's great. It's amazing to me. So I just fit her to the music. That's all I did.
Something I love about the Nutcracker specifically, well, your Nutcracker, I mean, for the adaptive program, is that even though we have the set choreography, so, snow scene is always typically the same thing, same kind of thing, Russian, right? All the choreography's been pretty much the same for years now. But like you said, there's always moments for these different dancers to be featured throughout, whether it be Russian, they get to do their specific trick that suits them well. And I think you've always done a wonderful job of highlighting each dancer and what they do well and what they love to do, which I think is really
you have to find out what they can do, and they won't let me change it. They now they tell me what they want to dance to, and I just come up and we change it. We we add some funny things in there, and if they they seldom screw up. I mean, they just really don't. And if they do, they do. We don't care. It just works out perfect. We had a lot of little comedy in there too. We had one of the ballerinas, I think she dressed up as a soldier, and no, she was a rat. And then her partner that she danced a sugar plum with, oh no, who was it? Oh no, it was the other one. Yeah, she was a soldier. She went in there and I had her sit on his back and pull his leg like they were fighting, and he acted like he was in pain, and it was just so funny. They went up in the front, and we just added a little bit of humor to it to just, to show the audience that they have a sense of humor. They know what they're doing, and they had a blast, blast doing it. But not every person, would be able to do that. So, and I teach some of the steps, like for Spanish or whatever. I teach it to modern music. And I teach, and then I throw in the Nutcracker, and then I switch it off to some, I don't know, all the single ladies or whatever they listen to, because these people are pretty hip. They love music, and they listen to the radio, and they know what they like. So I will interchange the music, but I'll keep the same steps. So especially with Spanish, I love doing it with Spanish. And they last time you were in class, you did Spanish with one of your old dance mates, and that little girl, I watched her eyes watching you dance. It was her mouth opened up. She said, "Oh my God, I want to be her." And I want to be you too, Kristen. So just so you know, I'm so jealous of ballerinas. I'm just so jealous.
You're wonderful as you.
Each person is just individual. I could take a room full of you, and you could, and this is what you should do, of maybe seniors in a living facility, they can move and whatever, or moms of special needs kids, or soldiers that just come out of, whatever, fighting in, overseas, and do a Nutcracker. You could do it with anyone. You could put it, and you do what they're good at, right? You do what they're good at, and it just releases a lot of just, I don't know what it is. It just makes everyone feel good. You could do it with just anyone. I hope everyone just takes anyone and just puts them together and says, do it. Nurses, I could see that. Wouldn't that be so lethargic to just get these nurses after working in COVID and go, let's do a ballet class. We don't care if you can't point your toe or you can't whatever. We're going to adapt it. We're going to throw you in a costume. Oh my God, I'm too fat or whatever. No, you're going to be gorgeous, and you're going to go out there on stage because you are a hero, and you're going to do this. I just dreamt that up. So there you go. Go with it.
That can be your next project.
Gather some nurses when they get a break, right? It's just so healing that it's what you want to do. It's what you want. It's the right thing to do. Because dancing is just so release. For me, it is anyway. I'd dance all day if I could. Or you could put a class together for special needs moms, me, and I could go if you want, but you have to go easy on me. I can't catch any air, you know. Kristen, please. And your back, oh, geez, you can bend.
She
And
does
your
have
leg, oh my God, I can't, no, with the leg. We're a little intimidated. But the body is beautiful. So you find something beautiful that you can do so you can shine. So it's just very simple. But you got to be able to communicate with the parents. You got to know each kid, each dancer, not all of them are kids now, and know what's going on in their life, if they're on medication, what happened this week, if they have any other skills, and you have to be aware of that. You have to know if they're having a little seizure from not blinking. This is just, you take each individual person alone, but in a group, like at 20 at a time. If you're able to do that 20 at a time, the mentors do help, but I don't give a lot of guidance, too much guidance to the mentors. I let them learn on their own, like what I had to do when, you know, right out of high school and X-ray school. They just threw me on the floor, is what you call it in a hospital, and said, go ahead, take care, you know, this is life. So I was in the OR right after high school. I saw a baby being born my first week there. I was the only one in the room. I'm like, okay, that's kind of what it's like, Kristen, right? It's like, here you go. And I try to give you direction. And some of them are more what we call high functioning, and some of them are verbal, and some of them aren't. So you just take each person individual, and you can do it. You do need help, and you need parents that are they're okay with everything and that you can communicate with. The parents stay in the room when I'm there, because I think a lot of my students need the parents there. They absolutely need there. Not all of them. Sometimes they leave, run errands. I get their phone numbers in case something goes on with them. But there are different levels of functioning for special needs people, children and adults, where you need the parent there. It could be simple as they have a meltdown because they broke a shoelace or whatever, anything, you know, bathroom issues, whatever. We've seen it all. So
I think that approach kind of helps with the flow of class too, because as we know, at times it can get a little hectic, depending on the size of the class. There's just a lot of people. And
yep.
when something does happen,
Yep.
while a mentor could go assist with that, then it kind of takes away one less mentor from the class. And
Right.
so it is kind of helpful at times, I think, to have that like parent intervention.
Well,
so that way
right.
You and other mentors can stay focused on everyone else who's still in class and is dancing, and try to keep their attention
Right.
and not let their attention go towards maybe someone who is having a meltdown or struggling a little bit.
And they can't come every week sometimes, you know, so you're missing someone, or a mentor can't come every week. It's, you know, where do we do this to you? Where do we do? So the mentors, I put a lot of, I can't even remember their names. We move so fast. And yeah, so, and then some people that are actual dancers, I just say, take the mentors and teach them a dance for the opening number. And so it's not only about the students, it's about the mentors, because I've been doing this for a while, and some of our mentors are special ed teachers now. They're going into special ed law. We've had a mentor, Sandra, that is now working in a Pennsylvania hospital as a dance therapist. She went for dance therapy. And I treated her like, okay, go do it, you know, go figure it out. I couldn't really give her that much help. And we just discussed that. I told her before, I wasn't being mean. It was for your own good, you know, like go go and see if you can, solve this problem, with non-dancers. So we're talking high schoolers that have gone on to be in the special ed community. And you know what that does to me? It helps me know that there are more people out there now to help when I'm gone for my son. Totally selfish, totally selfish. So that's the worst nightmare of a special ed mom. So when they're sitting there, don't make me cry, they're thinking, I love what I'm seeing. My child or my adult, whoever, would never have this opportunity socially or ever to be with other kids, dance, being able to express themselves, being with their friends. All of them love music, seriously. And the mothers, that's another topic. They're bonding with each other. That's really important. You know, when you're teaching a dance class and the mothers are in the room, some schools kick them out because they're sitting there, blah, 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 blah. They're blabbing here too, in this class too. And I have to, most of the time, tell them to be quiet, which they hate because, I'm mean. And because I can't talk over everybody, but they're bonding and they're curing what they need. They're exchanging tips about teachers and schools and talking about their day and what happened with their child, and they're forming bonding as well by being there in the classroom. So, and then you make friends with the mentors and then the other people in the community. So now, oh yeah, I know so-and-so and I know so-and-so. And I tried to get someone from the community to be in the Nutcracker as well, like our state representative. He's been in it 2 or 3 times. He was kind enough to say, yeah, I'll be in it. And I get him out there and he kills the rats, and he's connected with our community too. So I just tried to really add that piece. And as far as the media goes, they give me a lot of kudos, but it's really just everyone. I mean, it's really everyone. It's really hard, but it's really everyone. So that's it. And we haven't been able to do it last year, and we're not going to do it this year. And I just don't have the heart to have anything happen, with them medically. And just be careful. But they miss it. They really miss it. Most programs with special needs, everything's pretty structured and whatever. And we try to do that. And they do it. They know exactly what to do. But then sometimes we just let it rip and they love it. Or I'll add something to it, or I'll, add something different to it. Or yeah, it's pretty cool. They feel really good about it. They do a good job. I'm just very proud of everybody, the whole town, seriously. They really pitched in, and that's what you want. You just don't want to do it for the kids. You want to do it for the parents, the grandparents, the town. The special ed teachers come and see it. Our probate judge came to see it. She snuck in. She goes, I saw it, Deb. I'm not allowed to buy a ticket, but I snuck in, and she works in the same building. And I was so proud. I'm like, really? You went? She goes, yeah, it was wonderful. And the best part is just seeing these big, strong guys crying. I'm like, wow. Like, when would they ever be able to encounter a special needs person? Now they know, now they know how lucky they are with their kids and how they can give back. So that's the main reason. And that just all this just organically happened. So that's it. And we had a couple of great singers.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're going to go out there and do, right?
Ways to include all of the arts. We would even do some of the backdrops, remember?
They painted the scenery.
Yes. Yeah.
Right, remember? And they performed out in public a few times, and with your church, and then yes. With we've gotten awards. I'm like,
And let me
really?
tell you, the people from my church are always asking every year, like, when are they coming back? We want to see them again.
And I feel bad for
loves
Santa
them.
because no one can say no. I'm not shy. I'm like, Santa, I got a gig for you, and the kids are gonna go crazy. But you know, Santa and my son were hanging backstage. You know, it looked like they were ready to like smoke cigars, waiting for themselves. They're like pros now. Like, are we on yet? I just make a joke about what's going on back here with Santa, and Santa has to dance too. I taught him the mashed potato, and he's out there, and I really think he's Santa. I know he's not, but I'm like, Santa, you're taking one for the team. So we get him out there, and even your friend plays the cello. And we've had spring shows before where what I do is I take the popular music, or we'll use a theme, the Beatles, or I don't know, the 70s or whatever. And I'll actually teach them ballet steps. So when it comes time for Nutcracker, we throw that in there. And that's how we started the partnering. So boys and girls do dance together now. And they partner, and they love their partners. They're like attached to their partners, and they do really well. So we have kids 6 years old, maybe even younger. Wow, even on a younger one, I just let her in, up to 33. Other programs you have to go by age or skill. It's like, no, come on in, come on in.
And I think that they appreciate that too. I think that they like kind of intermingling, and I think you probably have seen this as well, but a few of those older students that have been around for quite a few years with the program, I think they like to be like a role model.
Oh, that's right. I make them be mentors too. Yes.
And that makes them feel
that's right.
special and needed.
That's right.
And it's,
you know who I'm talking about. Yep. I'm like, you're going to be with, that's right. I partner them, and that's right. I'm like, you're going to help, you're going to front the class today. And I had a hard time rounding them up to get to the bar. We do just simple bar exercises because they're running around and the parents are in. But when I start that song, you know the song, the plie, start the plie, in first position. They hear the music. I don't go, all right, get at the bar. Come on, we're going to go. They hear that music. Boom. They're right at the bar and they start. That's it. It wasn't, I knew they would do that. I knew they would do that. And they did it. They absolutely did it. But it is hard because every year we have to pick a new Clara. And, the parents, just like typical kids, they're rooting for their kid. Wouldn't she be a good Clara this year? But, I'm tactful, and usually we're right about which one to pick, and we make a big deal about it, and they're really proud of themselves. I've seen some beautiful Claras, and this one picture of, oh, wow. We did an interview with the mayor, and we were on stage, and the father, who used to be a New York City policeman, the girl was in her costume. The stage was just lit with a spotlight, and now I'm going to cry again. He was so proud of her after the interview. She was just standing in front of an empty audience in her costume, and he took a picture of her. It just said a million things. And we let anyone join, even, can't give you names, but they just jump around and they shake and they just dance to the music, and we make it work. We just make it work. So I love it. I miss it. Now I want to do it. I had to cancel it again this year. So you need to be safe. You just need to be safe. So I would start out, if you're interested in doing it, I don't know, come and visit me, or you'll get it. Kristen, you did it in middle school and you didn't have a problem, right?
No.
I mean, I still can't remember all the mentors' names. I give them nicknames because it's too many syllables. By the time I say Kristen, they've already been running out the door. So I'm just like, hey, you, hey, put it together, and we change it a lot, and we just make it work. It's really hard. It is hard, but it works.
Deb, just something, I just wanted to say that you're bringing up all these different points, and I've had all these different, thoughts about all of this, but I just wanted to say that I think dance really is a universal language, and it's for everyone.
Yep.
And even if you did have different groups like nurses or, people you were just mentioning, just get involved with dance, I think they would realize how great it could feel for their body, and how it's such a release, as you were saying. It's and it's for everyone. It's not, and you don't have to be your stereotypical ballet dancer to enjoy movement.
That's right. That's right.
So I just think what you're doing is really wonderful, and I hope that more places across the country, across the world, will implement some of these programs.
I think everyone needs it.
Yeah, I agree.
And what if you took people that don't even or have nothing in common? You could probably just do it for all different types of, people that have clashes or that need friendship. You bond by dancing because you're exposing yourself. You guys, you are exposing yourself big time. Not only do you have to be like perfect, you have to be strong, you have to be on the note, you have to be perfect. And you're under a lot of pressure, especially in a ballet company where you're all doing the same thing. Well, we don't do that, but that's a lot of pressure. I mean, that's one of the most exciting careers ever. So jealous, really. Yeah.
But Deb, look at your career. Look at how gratifying it must be, and how much good you're providing to that community.
Well, I hope so. I had to come up with something to make a living. I mean, when I first got divorced, I lived in a different community, and I taught gymnastics. I don't know anything about gymnastics. And here's the takeaway point. I taught a bunch of other things that I knew nothing about. And but you're dealing on a different level. You're just dealing with the basics, and what you're really giving is what the person needs. Even if they're in a wheelchair and they're not moving a muscle, you are adding the movement with them, and you're adding whatever it needs to be, lights, costumes, whatever, to make them feel special, which makes you feel special and makes people want to do the right thing and to understand that they do exist. I mean, I would, prisoners, I don't know, anyone, just anyone. I really want you guys to start a company so I can dance. I need a place to dance. Just go out and just dance. That's it. Just move. And I think people think that you just have to be really good, but also, especially women with the different shapes bodies that they have, they move different. I know I watch people the way they walk, like walking down the beach or down the street, or how they move their bodies. And that's where kind of movement therapy comes in, and how they're just not the same as a dancer. They're walking all wrong, or they can't do the moves that you can. But if you ask a middle-aged woman that has a little poundage on her to dance and she can move, it's beautiful, right? She's dancing, and you can make her look good because she's doing it. That's the way I feel. I love dance.
Yeah, everyone has the ability to dance and to look beautiful doing so. It's just unfortunately in the more codified dance world, that's where we see the stereotypes with body image, body types, and all of that. But
right.
The hope and the desire is that we continue to just keep moving away from that. And like you said, see it from the perspective of just, we're all human, we're all bodies, and we have the ability to move, and that's a gift in and of itself, and we can look beautiful doing so.
And music, my son, he sits in front of the television and listens to music, and if I get him up and dance, he can move. He knows what the rhythm is. And he loves it. It's so healing. So I guess that's really my point. It really doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be special needs. It could be the fire department. I would love to get them in. I wonder how I could do that, beg them. Unless there's a fire, then I'm in big trouble. That's what I'm saying. They would love it. They would just love it.
Movement unites people in more ways.
Absolutely. And music, and then even art. I mean, the kids love making the art when we used to do our spring shows. And the ones that could sing, we got them up. Whatever you can do, we get them up there because it's really beneficial for it. It's a win-win-win. And it's not that difficult. And we were a little ahead of our time. And I know that a lot of different ballet companies have, like the Boston Ballet company, they have classes. I don't know if a lot of our kids could be in their classes. I don't know, Kristen. I've never actually seen them. I've seen them online. I have talked to them. They're very too little tight, on how they do things.
I would agree with that statement. I mean, I haven't personally experienced like working at all with Boston Ballet's adaptive dance program or anything, but I did do their online teacher training workshops last summer. I really did appreciate and enjoy the workshop series. I think for especially someone who doesn't have any experience or knowledge of adaptive dance or working with people with disabilities, it was a very informative session and there was a lot of good ideas that were being generated. But I would agree that a lot of the programs out there that exist right now are a little bit too regimented for this population. And it's sad in a way that, these programs are being created for, to suit certain populations, but yet then it doesn't actually suit the full population.
That's right.
So yeah, I think it's like a give and take. Like it's great to see more programs being created and people are trying to do these kinds of things, but I think it's a kind of a learning curve of finding that sweet spot.
Yeah, and then when you go into a class and you see an eclectic age of course they talk to me first, and I try to push, because some children can't do anything. They're just screaming and whatever. And I have to say that this little girl that I'm thinking about, she was like hitting her head and all over the place. She nailed it on stage, and her family that never talked to me were hugging me and crying and said, thank you. I'm like, I don't know what I did. We worked with her. She had 2 helpers on her. She could barely move, but she was out there. We held on to her and she was smiling and she did the little turns and she went through the tunnel. And as she did it, and the family, I was a hero. I'm like, well, there you go. That's what it's about. That's exactly what it's about. No, I don't think that she would do a strict program. Like, no way. There's no way that she could, or some of our other ones that are never going to be able to walk right, but they're in class with the other disabilities, and I could just think of a thousand times when something like that has happened, where you just fit them where they go. So if I was to join your ballet company, you would not be putting me like in the front line or anywhere that I would actually have to do something. Maybe just stand there, whatever. If you got my fingers in the right position, even if you can get your arm up, that's good for us. Yeah, but if I had to be in the show, because I was donating $1 million, you would find something for me to do in the show, right? And that's what it's like. Even if you're in a wheelchair, you tie the wings to the chair. You just do it, and it's just the right thing to do.
Yeah, it sounds like such an immersive experience. Like even though you can't necessarily do certain things because of your disability, you're still finding ways for them to
do
be
it.
A part of the show. Yeah, and to do it.
That's right.
So important. So, but anyway, thank you so much. Let's take a short break here, and then we will be right back.
All right. Thank you.
Here's a word from our sponsor.
All right, so we're back, and I just had a question for Deb in regards to where this program takes place. Is it at a school? Is it at a dance studio? And where do you have this big Nutcracker performance? Do you go to the same place every year, or how does that all work?
Well, I could tell you right now that each town, if you're thinking of doing this, will be different. So how you get it done is the passion. As you can see from what I'm telling you, you probably want to go out and do it now, because this is what you want. You got to make sure that we don't have the greatest practice space. We don't have mirrors, which is okay, because they would look at themselves. I'm thinking, not everybody. Would it help? I think it would be more of a distraction. And my feeling is it's a benefit because most of the time they need to feel their body in space. There's a lot of OT and PT that many of these dancers have to go through, sensory issues. So I think that the mirror to me is not really a problem, as long as the room is big enough. We have an air conditioner, it's safe. They actually made the building handicapped accessible now. It's the only space they had. So I work with my local recreation department. So that's good for me because it's not the Debbie Marchese School of Dance. And that means that they have access to what I need. So for instance, they have a space. They can advertise. I can use their website for registration. You know, I pull a salary off of that, and then they make some money off of that. It's not enough. This particular recreation department is not a non-for-profit, so it's not a 501c. So they cannot get that type of funding, but when they can get is donations. So different organizations or individuals have donated to us so we can offer scholarships. And now the rec offers scholarships. So I really let the town take that part. And then we used to have shows in our gymnasium, and we packed the gymnasium. I mean, our last spring show in the gymnasium, we used to do shows, theater shows and all that. I'm like, well, how do these people even know about that? I've hired for free, pro bono, live bands to come in, and the kids dance to live bands because they don't have that opportunity, because you want to hear the bass, you want to hear the drums, you want to hear the bottom of the music. That's why I use an old funky, I don't use a little, what do they call them, little cassette player. I need some bottom. I want them to feel the vibration of the music. So that's one way to go around it. I mean, you could rent a space, you could do it that way. But I felt for my mission, and because I have to take a lot of time to care for my son, so that's how I did it. It just happened I had to pitch it. I had to tell them my idea. And I did help them put some other programs together. So the two programs that I put together were, I was the basketball coach and I was the baseball coach in this town for special needs. And they totally worked. So I said, how about dance? Because they did a survey. So that's how we do it. And I make it a town program. So when we did get a Fine Arts Award from New Haven, it was for the town. It wasn't for me, which is totally fine, because now the town owns it. You know, it's a feel-good thing for the town. And they do feel good. Our mentor moms help out their moms of past mentors. They come in and they make the costumes. So now I have another leg, and I just let them do it. And they love doing it. So that's another whole wing of this. I have people that were never connected with special needs making costumes and working with the kids trying them on and changing them backstage very quickly, I may add, is another piece. So I don't know if that answers your question. It really depends on what you want to do, make money, or how you want to pitch it. But I think anyone would be open to it. I don't see why they wouldn't.
Yeah, that's great. And then also just something that came to mind for me personally is how long are your classes, Deb? Are they usually like an hour? Are they technique based at all? I know you said sometimes you will do a very simple ballet bar, or it's just like a class that you have?
There is some technique. And my technique is not getting that great. I mentioned the hands because I lost all of that. But as long as you can get your arms up, that's what we're looking for. That's our technique. And if you're able to switch from one hand to the other, that's even great. But yes, we use the word first position. Recently, one of our last classes, I said, everyone get into fifth position. And they did. I took a picture of them, like, oh my God, right foot front, fifth position. So so we do arabesque, we do a lot of slides, chassés. I do use the words, they know what those mean now. They seem to do it, and they do the best they can. And if they're more of a jazz dancer or a hip hop dancer, I coordinate, I throw that in. As steps.
Yeah, it goes back to you making the class theirs.
Yes, whatever they're good at. If they're not good at doing turns, then they don't do the turn. Someone else does the turn around them. We had 3 kids that do cartwheels. I could never in my life do a cartwheel, but they're just whipping her across the floor. I'm like, how'd you learn that? Oh, she always did those. I'm like, okay, well, that's in the routine. So that's how we do it. We use what they can do. And if they can't, they'll be partnered with a mentor or another dancer that's older that leads them where they need to go. Okay. And you don't want them running out on the stage. So you kind of hold them back, and then you bring them, in when they should. But after, a couple of years, they know exactly what they're supposed to do. They're telling me, oh, you didn't do I'm like, okay. And one little girl, she's not little anymore. Wow, they're getting big. She wanted to be like the Russian princess all of a sudden. So that's her autism. She persevered on it until called to Miss Debbie, I want to be the prince. Okay. And then I had another mother that's not even a mother go on stage and fight with her with a sword. So someone volunteered, I'll throw a parent in there and they'll do it. They'll just go in and they'll start fighting. They were doing the sword fight, and she's already called me to book her part. And I'm like, if that makes you happy, and then that's what you're going to do.
Yeah, you're making their dreams come true.
You're making her dream come true. As a matter of fact, Kristen's father, I had my son there one day, and these are big, tall men, by the way. Her father got on the floor with my son. I just happened to bring him. Very rarely I do that to class. They were hanging out, and then they started like spooning on the floor. We were doing something, and I was like, what a man, you know what I mean? Here's
Paul is a special man.
Oh my God, I love him.
I will also know he loves just laying on floors anywhere and everywhere. It doesn't matter where.
Well, he was with Joey, and we love laying around with Joey.
Yeah,
He's very two huggable men, and no one made a big deal about it because it's not a big deal.
It's adorable.
Our 26-year-old is going to dance with the 10-year-old because no one cares. Other classes, they would, put them in that category. And we call her Corella, who's like 35 years old. She can shake it, and that's what we have her do. She's out there, and she's doing what she does best. And she was Corella DeVille for one of our Disney shows, and the crowd went wild. The beauty of her just letting it rip was, thank you, thank you for doing that. It broke the ice, because watching some of this can be very heartfelt, and you sometimes feel sorry for what you're seeing, but you shouldn't, because they're having the time of their life.
That's amazing.
And so it's good for a town to have inclusion too, to keep you safe and to keep you doing the right thing. So.
Oh, absolutely. And just so diversity is celebrated, like
Well, yeah. Well, there's laws now. So now the schools, I don't teach basketball any longer, because the schools have programs that for federal funding, they have to supply that for children and young adults with special needs.
Oh, good.
So now that's a law. So I don't have to go out and make believe I'm teaching basketball. But I didn't even know the terms of it, because we didn't get that far. If you can see a ball coming at you and you can stop it, that's a big deal. So we just started like that, and then we started like that. And did they ever actually play basketball? Not really, but they did the skills that they were able to do. Just running. Sometimes we have a gym next to our dance, we'll call it dance studio. I just open the door and say, go. And the parents are so thankful. And they just run. No matter what age they are, and if the parents feel like running, I'm like, just let it out, because it's such a hard environment from morning to night with your child or young adult, to keep them busy and for them to get exercise and to have them be with their friends. And I did take classes before on creeping and crawling and how the brain works. So any little bit that I can learn, I add that into the class too. So yeah. Go ahead, start a class somewhere.
Going off of that, Deb, so like you were kind of saying, this program is very fortunate because there's so many volunteers and just people from the community that have really stepped up to help make everything possible, from the mothers who do all the costumes and all of that. So I'm just curious your thoughts on, like, in an ideal world where resources or finances aren't really an issue, if there's anything in particular that you see as really fit to run the best possible, like, adaptive dance program.
Well, I mean, if you're going to be working for like a town like I am, you want them to be able to understand. So most of the programs for a recreation department are basketball and baseball and tennis, and they're not really artsy. You kind of almost have to train them about the arts. They don't know. They don't know anything about ballet. They don't know anything about dance. Not all of them. But that's a well-rounded community program. I mean, I've even taught in the after-school programs in Greenwich. That's how I started, with typical kids. And even an after-school program outside Greenwich in Portchester, where they had a huge population of children there. I mean, there had to be 200 kids that they just left me in an auditorium with. And they had a couple of special needs kids, because they had to include them. They maybe not even had aides with them. And just as long as you keep them interested, we did some pretty amazing things in there. Even the janitor was applauding. We just kept them going. We put in a show. It was a pretty intense after school program that was needed in the community. It was probably free so the parents could work. It was that type of place. I mean, those types of communities, they need something like this. That you're saving a kid if you can volunteer for a community like that. I mean, I would love to go into a really needy community and just say, let's do it. And what do you need? Nothing. Give me a boombox or whatever to play the music in. Get the kids in here, and I'm going to show you. And I didn't use all ballet. So the difference was in that class, they wanted, this was a while ago, Britney Spears, but in Greenwich, in their schools, they wanted Raffi. Is that his name? can you play some, is that his name, Raffy? I can't remember. You're probably too young. It's more
I don't
like,
know. Yeah.
You know, that's
it's more like classical, like
I loved it when I was younger. Yeah.
Raffy, right? I'm
Mhm.
like, you want who? Because they want raunchy Britney Spears over across the border, and you want to hear this. So I'm like, all right, let's go with it. And just danced, and all they did was follow me and just watch what they're doing, get them in a beat, and just keep. And we're talking a lot of kids. Even in a nursing home, I did it. They wanted a dance teacher in a nursing home, and they were people. It was a living facility. It wasn't even a nursing home. It was assisted living. And the director brought me in the dining room and said, all right, let me see you dance. That was my interview. I'm like, okay, here you go. And she goes, okay, you're hired. I'm like, all right. So I have seniors, and you just see what they can do. And you just, I mean, we had conga lines. I used Nerf guns. We had a blast. But you just really keep people happy. That's your mission as a dance teacher. But as a dance performer, as you know, it's a totally different story.
Right.
So if your ultimate goal is when you get older, or you're done with your performing career, which isn't going to be for ages from now, then yeah, I think anything goes. Anything goes.
Yeah, and Deb, you kind of touched upon this just now, but how would you say our listeners, or anyone who may not have prior experience with an adaptive dance program, could support these types of programs going forward? How could like a random person get involved?
Well, let's see. How can they? Well, I like to dance. So if they like to dance, if they're dancers, how can they get involved? I would say go to their community center and keep the parents in the room, do the basics, and just use your instincts, because you're going to use your basic skills. You have to think about the sensory system and seizures. They're so complicated that you have to really be, I mean, I've seen kids have mild seizures while I was teaching dance, and I was swift enough, thank God my son doesn't have them, to pull them out and whatever, and to, say, does your daughter have seizures? Well, I think she's having one right now. I mean, they're okay. Or if there's any injuries, I can't recall if anyone's ever had an injury in my class, but that's what you would do. I think you would just start small, or go in and volunteer at a school first if you don't know anything about it. Or it doesn't have to be special needs. It could be the nurses again. They can walk, they can talk, they need therapy right now. And you offer, if they have time off, and you offer, maybe you don't call it ballet. I would love to have like one of these woman warrior classes, because we are women, especially, and maybe men, are just kind of, especially right now, we're so, because we're empaths, or we're caring mothers, or we're starting our careers, or you're dating someone, you have all of this in common, and you need to bond with other women. And dancing is very raw. So you're gonna bond with someone. I mean, when I go on vacation, I dance with anyone. I don't care what color, age, sex, I just jump in. And my girlfriend will go, what the heck are you doing? I'm just having fun. And usually you can bond with that person. I would say just start with any population. It doesn't have to be a special needs population, or anyone with a disability. It could be just any population. Like I said, the firemen, dancing ballet for firemen. They would be so goofy, and they would probably love it. They probably would love it. And I mean, I have worked with movement specialists before, where we listen to music, really heavy, chanting music. And whenever I would put that on, the kids would just hit the floor. So it's just a little bit of research and find out who you want to work with. Maybe you want to work with, I don't know, the Stop and Shop employees or whoever. It could be anyone. It'll just benefit someone else down the line, and you'll be helping them. I know that it would help me. So start something. Everyone named Debbie program, and that way I can dance. So if your name's Debbie, you can join the program. You get all these Debbies, and we all dance. See, when I take a dance class on vacation, which I haven't in a long time, I'm embarrassing. I can't do it. Like hip hop or jazz or whatever. I wound up just making stuff up in the back of the room. But it feels good. So no one really cares. But if you're classically trained, you do need that, because you need to teach direction or whatever. Just do it. Just make anything up. Everyone moves.
Just do it. I love it. I think the two things to take away from this, Debbie, is just do it and let it rip, right? You just got to go.
Do it and let it rip, and don't care. And people will be, and what you want them to do is lose their inhibitions.
I think for everyone, it's just kind of like you have to almost like let go of your ego for a moment.
Yes, exactly.
Give it a moment and not care.
Yes.
Like about judgment or what it looks like.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when you go out dancing, well, I don't know what it is like these days. Or with live music or whatever. I don't know. I'm always envious of that first woman that's out there just letting it rip. I'm like, oh, I want to be her so bad, and I can't ever do it. I'm too proper.
I actually, in New York City really recently, Hannah and I, we've both been to New York City a few times this summer, and I was in Washington Square Park with some people, and we just saw this one woman over on the side. She was just jamming out, having the best time by herself. Occasionally someone would join and just start dancing with her. She was probably dancing for a solid hour just by herself in the park. And honestly, I can't say I would get up and do something like that, but I had so much respect for her, and she looked like she was just living her best life.
In reality, she's doing better than us. She's releasing it, and that's really what it's all about. And that's really what it's about for the kids too, for the dancers, just to feel special, and for their families. You know how guilty I am because I can't do anything with my son. I mean, there's nothing that I can really bring him. I can't. It's like a refuge for them, where they can go and they can know that their kids. Some of our dance classes, you asked before, are 2 hours, and I still don't have enough time, especially when we're piecing the different dances together and everyone has to be there. It's crowded in that little room, and it's 2 hours or more, and we do it. And they love it, because for the next week, they're not going to be doing much. They're not going to be doing anything. And there's a lot of people like that. So I challenge you, next time you see that woman out there, or even in a nightclub, take your girlfriend out there, and the two of you, whatever, single ladies, whatever you're listening to. Joey loves that song, by the way, doing them. Just go out.
Well, thank you so much, Deb. You were such a pleasure to have you today on our podcast. You had so many wonderful things to say and to bring to light, and
I hope so.
Inspiring what you do. I feel like you don't think it is, but it really is.
Give yourself enough credit for what you do. Fantastic.
I just want to do, I need to dance right now, actually. I'm not.
You can get off and shake it out after this. We've been sitting for a while. I think it's a wrap. I think we've done it. This is great. We really hit a home run, and
let's do it.
Thanks for tuning into Abundance. We appreciate your support. We hope to have PK'd your interest. Feel free to contact us at abundancepodcast5678@gmail.com and give us feedback on what you'd like to hear. That is Abundance without parentheses. Go dance yourself silly. Bye for now.
A special thank you to Richard D. Fiore for our lovely podcast tune and Matt Mellish for our cover art.